and one day you took your lunch, said goodbye to your family, got into your spaceship, and went off to spend the day exploring. And suppose the first planet you saw was the Earth. If you saw it from very far away, it would look small and round, like a coin. But when you got closer, you'd probably notice that the Earth isn't round and flat like a coin, but round like a huge ball. You'd never be able to see all of its surface at one time, and part of what you could see would be hidden by clouds. But suppose you could see the Earth without the clouds. You could learn quite a few things about it just by looking. For instance, you could tell from space that large parts of the Earth are blue. Those parts are water. The other parts, which are other colors, are land. The more you looked from your spaceship, the more interesting things about the Earth you'd probably see. In fact, you might try to think of some way to show your parents and friends what you saw. Something you could use to let them know what the Earth was really like. For instance, you might draw them a picture. Or take a picture with a camera. That would give them some idea of what the Earth looked like. But a picture would only show the Earth from one side. So maybe you could take a lot of pictures from all sides. But they'd still be flat. Flat pictures wouldn't really show someone how the round Earth looked. So what would? Well, suppose you thought about what the Earth looked like when you first saw it from far away, when it looked much smaller. A small Earth? This might give you an idea. Why not make a small model of the Earth? What's a model? Well, a model of, say, your spaceship might be like this. It would have the same shape as the real spaceship, and all the parts you could see would be in the same places as on the real one. Your model would just be smaller. You might make your model of the Earth about this big. You could make it round like the Earth, but without clouds, so you could see all of its surface. Now you would have something that you could use to show the people back home what the Earth looks like in a way that would be easy for anyone to understand. You'd have a globe. To make your globe as helpful as possible, you'd probably color bodies of water on it blue and choose a different color for the land so people could easily tell them apart. You'd end up using a lot more blue because on the Earth there's much more water than there is land. And then, to show where there are mountains on the Earth's surface, you could even make some parts of the land bumpy, or make them look bumpy. If you did these things, when you showed your globe to the people back home, it would give them a good idea of what the Earth was like. People would probably be very interested, but they might have questions. For instance, they might want to know whether the different parts of the Earth have names, or if there are countries on the Earth. To answer these questions, you'd need to add some things to your globe that someone wouldn't be able to see from space. You could make another trip, and this time land on the Earth. You'd find out from Earth people that they call their big areas of water oceans. The oceans have separate names, even though they're actually all one big body of water. Here's how they look on your globe. This one is the Atlantic Ocean. Here's the Pacific Ocean. And this is the Indian Ocean. And you could find out the names of the large areas of land. Earth people call them continents. These three are almost like one big continent. They're Africa, Europe, and Asia. These two are also connected, North America and South America. The others are Australia and Antarctica. You could even find out where the boundary lines are for all the countries on the continents. You could see that some of the continents have a lot of countries. Some have just a few. And one continent has only one country. If your globe showed the names of the countries, and the names of the continents, and the names of the oceans, you'd have a globe that would tell people a lot more about the Earth than anyone could see from space, and would also be just like some of the globes that Earth people themselves use to study their planet. But what can people find out by looking at a globe besides the shapes of things and their names? Plenty. Let's take the countries and names away again and look at some other things. When people use a globe, it's just as if they could take the Earth in their hands and turn it to learn about any part they want to see. For instance, if they turn the globe this way, they see almost all land. Turn it halfway around, and they see almost all ocean. Or they might want to look at a different part of the globe, maybe by turning it this way. Right in the middle is a place called the North Pole. Where the North Pole is, there's only ice and water. If they look at the opposite side of the globe, they're looking at the South Pole. That's here on the continent Antarctica. When you see the globe this way, the North Pole is here, and the South Pole is here. There is a line drawn all the way around most globes, halfway between these two poles. This line is called the equator. The equator isn't really drawn on the Earth, of course. It's an imaginary line that divides the Earth into two halves. The Earth is like a ball in space. Another name for a ball is a sphere, and half a sphere is called a hemisphere. This half of the Earth, the half with the North Pole in it, is called the Northern Hemisphere. You can tell somebody where something is by saying it's in the Northern Hemisphere, or in the Southern Hemisphere. That's this half with the South Pole in it. You could also think of the Earth as divided in half through the poles, this way, into two different hemispheres. This half is the Eastern Hemisphere. It includes most of the land on Earth. You can say that Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia are in the Eastern Hemisphere. And you can say that these two continents, North America and South America, are in the Western Hemisphere. People also use globes to help them think about traveling from one place to another on Earth. Suppose they want to travel from, say, here to here. They can tell by looking whether they need to go over water, perhaps on a ship, or in a plane, or whether for other trips they might be able to go entirely on land, for instance, in a car. They can get a good idea of what they might pass along the way, or what stops they might want to make. A globe can also help people find the shortest possible route between two places on the Earth. Sometimes that's easy to guess, and sometimes it turns out to be surprising. For instance, if you wanted to go from here to here, the shortest route would not be this long line. Instead, it would be this much shorter line that passes near the North Pole. You can find the shortest route between any two places on a globe by stretching a string between them. So as you can see, a globe can give you many different kinds of information. It can show you where there are oceans and continents, and what countries are on each continent. And the globe can tell you which hemisphere these places are in, and even help you find a good route between places. In fact, a globe tells you so much about the Earth, you might find when you get home that everybody wants one.